Hello and welcome to Don't Call Me a Diva, the podcast where we talk about women's wrestling. We have a passion for women's wrestling. We promote women's wrestling. We review matches. We talk about bits and bobs of news. We have fan and viewer interactions as well. My name is Skullsy, and my tag team partner, my co-host, my social media best buddy, Josh is not with us today, I'm sorry to say. He is currently dealing with life admin, and that sometimes happens. That's okay. Sometimes life gets on top of us. And I've had a kick-ass crazy weekend. I've had party after party. I've got 4 kids, so everything's been mental. Today I've been doing loads of jobs, and in all fairness, my life admin's been a bit mad too. But it is what it is, and we will still be doing the podcast today. We'll be talking about quite a lot of stuff, I think. But I think today will probably be a shorter show. And let's just kick off with the first thing. So I'm flicking through Twitter when I wake up this morning and I see this absolutely incredible, beautiful image. And I'm going to say this is a beautiful image of the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong women's title. It is gorgeous, if I'm going to be really honest. It is pink, I believe, and which I haven't got a problem with that. It brings me back to the whole sort of divas belt element, and I have no issue with that. I think pink's a good color. Is a very universal color. I love the belt. I love how it's got the New Japan symbol on the 2 side plates, and I love, in particularly, the purple gem, I think, at the top, and the sort of diamantes around it. I think this belt is a very attractive belt. I think belt is of a champion, all right, of a champion of New Japan Strong. And as we know, in that tournament, that one night tournament, we have Willow Nightingale, we have Mercedes Minone, we have Stephanie, we have Momo, if I get her name correct, and all them wrestlers are very capable of holding that belt. Personally, I'm going to say I want Willow Nightingale to take that belt because I'm a massive fan. I think she's doing incredible stuff in Ring of Honor. I think she's doing incredible stuff with AEW. And literally, I was watching AEW All Access a few days ago, and she comes across as the most chirpy and cheerful cat going. So I am going for the next women's NWA, or the first, I believe, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. I want Willow Nightingale to win it. And I think this is going to be a great start as we can move into it. We talk about a beautiful belt. And let's talk about a little bit more about AEW. So AEW's had an interesting week, I think. So we heard about the new show that's going to be on a Saturday night. The logo, the image looks very much like old school WCW. And I'm into that because I'm not going to lie, I've been watching a lot of WCW recently, and I love WCW. And interestingly enough, I put out on Twitter the other day, if anybody remembers, I'm English, if you can't tell, if anybody remembers back in the 90s when Cartoon Network finished at 6 or 7 or whatever it was, it came, they changed the channel into TNT, and that's where us Brits back in the day, all right, was watching WCW Nitro. And yeah, the AEW badge resembles that quite a lot. But one of the things that I found quite interesting, okay, was it looked, the imagery when they posted what wrestlers are the face of this new promotion, and Thunder Rosa was one of them faces, and that excited me. I'm a massive Thunder Rosa fan. I loved her NWA. I loved her in Lucha. I loved her what she does in AEW. I know there's been a bit of fraction in the locker room back in the day with it all, but it seems like it's past. It seems like it's happening. But I thought it was great that she was the face, or one of the faces anyway, along with Hobbs and of this new Saturday night show. And I thought that was so exciting. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm of the viewpoint that this means that there can be more women's wrestling on another show, and AEW is a great place to show that. Something else that was really cool that happened in AEW this week as well, and excites me to hell. We saw Karen Jarrett. All right. Bloody hell. We saw her give a bull shot to Cash Wheeler, one of my favourite valets. I loved her in TNA back in the day when she was working with Jeff and stuff like that. And I thought that was great. More women wrestlers, more women valets, managers, wrestlers on TV, the better. So that's bits and bobs of interesting and fun news. And I want to say something else. So me and Josh this week put out a quiz. That quiz is going to go on for another week, I think, because I think it's important that me and Josh can do that together because it's a fun little quiz. I will retweet the quiz in a little while as well after this show goes out, so you can all have another look at it. And let's move into having a look at wrestling this week. Now, I'm going to start, interestingly enough, I'm going to start with AEW Rampage. Now, we normally probably work through the week, but I'm going to cover as much as I possibly can and what I can possibly remember. And I want to start with the modern day Goldberg, Jade Cargill. I want to start with her. As life goes on and as time periods with her go on, she becomes more and more talented and she becomes more and more invincible as a wrestler. They were so smart with how they paired her with people. Yeah, she had the baddies, but I'm talking about the pairing of working with smart Mark Sterling as her manager. Because I don't care what anybody says or what anybody feels about him or whatever, he is a very good heel manager. He knows how to get the heat, and Jade also knows how to get the heat. But this week's Rampage, we saw her take down two people. We saw her nearly get to 60 unbeaten. Two squash matches happened, and I really felt sorry for the lasses. They got the squash matches, but it's the concept of the storyline, and we've got to remember at least we are seeing, okay, these squash matches happen. Okay, with Goldberg, a lot of his matches happened in house shows. We are physically seeing 60 matches crack on. We are seeing her smash people up. We are seeing her being unbeatable. But as the opportunity of the 60th match came on, as we saw the opportunity of the 60th match, the 60th squash match, she was going to take down three people on one night. She was going to go all KSI, try to have two fights, not just two, but three fights in one night to get the 60th. Guess who turns up? The Daya Doraya, the former Impact champion, Major League Wrestling champion, Ty Valkyrie. Okay, we see her come in there and put a beating on Jade Cargill. We don't often see that. We've got to remember Ty is a veteran. She knows what she's doing. If there's anybody going to take that TBS belt off her, it is going to be Ty. And I think that's exciting. That brings something into it. I mean, there was, I don't like to bring this, but there was a bit of Twitter beef with Ty and some fans, I noticed as well. And it really sort of disappointed me that some fans were sort of like going, well, look, there's only a 1 week storyline. And I'm kind of the viewpoint of, no, that's not true. There has been a storyline. We have seen Ty Valkyrie and Cargill sort of like sword fighting and jousting in AEW for the last couple of weeks, and Ty Valkyrie was suspended because of that sort of concept. And I think this is great for wrestling that we are seeing people like Ty Valkyrie in AEW. She did not get a fair element in WWE, being called Frankie Monet or whatever she was. And I thought, I didn't like the gimmick either personally, but the major thing is now we are seeing people like Ty Valkyrie up there with the big guns in a big gun promotion. And I thought it'd be a great way to start the week, talking about Rampage, because Rampage is kind of seen currently as a main event, all right? But this match, main event in the sense of how WWE works, main event being like the fourth show in that sense. But this match particularly was important, and it was incredible, and it was exciting, and not this match, this segment was, and it was exciting, and I think it's going to lead into something absolutely crazy good, all right, at Double or Nothing, and that is storytelling. Another great thing in AEW this week actually happened in Dynamite. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to throw this one out. I'm going to talk about this very, very honestly. I'm going to say it's the best storyline. So, AEW kind of has this concept at the minute, this great little storyline with the Outcasts and Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Shea, and it's one of these storylines that that is kind of like the Outcasts are the ex WWE guys versus Britt, Jamie, and So that are the originals. And it's bringing a lot of attention to the women's division because all six of these wrestlers have the ability to be true champions. This is the interesting thing. And I think the Tony Storm facts was really, really cool in here as well. She, I believe, she's wrestled 4 times in 5 days and she's won all of them matches. And as we see at the end of the match, she wins the end of the match. The Outcasts win the end of the match as well. And I think this is great. I think this is important because this leads into a great storyline moving into Double or Nothing. I think this brings in a great storyline because we've got Tony versus Jamie, former champion versus champion. And then this could explode into something fantastic with Wembley because I'm praying to God. I am praying to every single God that I get my dream match, that I get Saraya versus Jamie, co-main event, AEW. And I'm hoping this is where the Outcast storyline goes into this. Every single one of the wrestlers that was available in that match, Shea and Britt and Tony and Ruby, wrestled to a high ability. And the interesting thing about Ruby, I always fall into the trap of nearly calling her Ruby Riot, but Ruby Soho. I think the interesting thing about her, seeing her go into AEW, her ability in ring work has got better because she's allowed to have the freedom to be herself. So we're seeing in that first couple of minutes, we're seeing loads of hard hitting, all right? And I'm really loving that from Ruby. And what I'm loving from Tony is her ability to wrestle is just great. She's just a great wrestler. And yeah, this was the exciting thing. I think Jamie was injured in this match. She wasn't there. She wasn't available. But we had Saraya on the side of the ring doing heel stuff, grabbing people's necks, choking people when people weren't looking, and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it was just a good match. I'm probably not describing it very well, but it was just a good match. And this is what AEW's given us at the minute. And it's surprising in a lot of ways because AEW at one point, I'll be humbly honest about this, their women's division wasn't great. It wasn't being promoted great. But now, in this last, say, year, definitely in the last year, it's up there with the Knockouts division. And it's just so exciting. And even their show like Ring of Honor, they are bringing in great wrestlers to do great things. And we'll sort of segue into Ring of Honor now. Because Ring of Honor, yes, it's an AEW product. Yes, it looks like AEW, but this is also showing the ability of great wrestlers, such as Willow Nightingale, massive fan of, such as Sky Blue, such as Maddie Watchipich, I'm sorry if I get that name wrong, and Lady Frost, and so on. And we are not seeing this, I think, in any other promotion. That we are seeing these wrestlers that are on the up and coming that possibly could be leading AEW in 2 years' time. We don't see that in WWE. WWE kind of keeps their rosters quite sort of like insular in that sense. But saying that, with the draft, we've got people like Indy Hartwell that was promoted upwards. So the next match I want to talk about is Willow Nightingale versus Maddie. And do you know what the interesting thing about it is? Willow is in Ring of Honor. We talked about her actually interestingly earlier on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And she's in Ring of Honor, and we know why Ring of Honor's there. Ring of Honor's there is kind of the new NXT. And it's a very, very, very good show, and it's going to be helping people like Willow. It's going to be pushing Willow forward, and she's 5-0 in Ring of Honor. She's kicking some ass, mate. Do you know what I mean? Athena needs to be watching out. And this match was good. I mean, Maddie's very, very, very talented wrestler. She actually kept Willow on her feet in the sense of Willow could not turn off through this match at all. But it was a heavy hitting match. We saw a big power bomb that won it. It is definitely worth watching. Okay, it is definitely worth watching. And also the Lady Frost match was definitely worth watching as well. We had two wrestlers that come from a background, okay, of lucha libre. Both of them have got sort of circusy training as well, from what I understand. But that's another well worth match. So AEW and Ring of Honor with women's wrestling this week was a high quality hit, and both the shows are definitely, definitely, definitely worth watching. Now, I'm going to apologize about this one because I have been honest from the start. I am pretty much a NWA and Impact TNA mark. So if this episode today I talk about them promotions quite a lot. I do apologize. Okay. But what I want to talk about, interestingly enough, is NWA this week. So NWA currently, you'll hear me talk about this wrestler quite a lot. Currently has a amazing young wrestler called Kenzie Page. Now, Kenzie Page is the current NWA Women's TV Champion. She has a little trophy that she's walking around currently with, but from what I understand is at some point in the future that there is going to be a belt, and she was fighting a local talent called Serena, I believe her name is. Now, what's great about this match is Kenzie Page is a heel's heel. She is a Mean Girls heel. Do you remember that film Mean Girls back in the day with Rachel McAdams and who else was there? I believe Lindsay Lohan was in it as well. She is that character. She is that bitch. All right. She is that mean girl. She's the one that throws shade. She's the one that won't shake your hand. She'll slap you in the face. All right. And the thing about it is, Serena comes in there, and Serena's attitude has to be big and bold and passionate because she knows what Kenzie Page is about. So she puts her hand out, and what happens is Kenzie Page slaps her hand out of the way. Serena pulls in a really great collar and tie. Okay, we see a great headlock takeover, and Page takes 3 or 4 bumps and comes off the ropes as well at this time period. We see a big boot. We see Kenzie take something crazy to the spine, and it's one of them matches where you're kind of on your seat and you're thinking to yourself, this possibly could be Kenzie losing her belt. Kenzie overcomes everything and she hits a Kenzie cutter and she wins the match. Great match. Great match. Absolutely great match. And I'm not just saying this. It was such a good and exciting and fun match. And it also comes under the rules that NWA have what they call a 605 rule. And it's called the lucky 7. So the 605 rule is basically if there isn't a win by the end of that time limit, okay, all right, the champion automatically wins. And the lucky 7 rule is as soon as you get to number 7, okay, you have the right to have a title match with the champion, which is currently Camille. The other match that I thought that was super good, and again, it comes from a Kenzie Page sort of like Sable group. Okay, they're called Pretty Empowered. Kenzie Page, interestingly enough, was a part of this group, and actually was the tag champions as well. This particular incarnation of Pretty Empowered, they hold a record for the NWA Women's Championship, and it is 1 minute and 40 seconds. They held that belt. Okay, which is quite a funny sort of like thing. This particular sort of incarnation is Envy and Roxy. They're both pretty much hard hitting wrestlers. All in all, it was a great match. It's one to go and watch, and I always say this. I always say this about NWA. NWA is a show that is free on YouTube. Anybody can find this show. Okay, Go onto YouTube and watch this, and watch these incredibly young and amazing talents. And they fought a tag team called La Rosa and Escobar, and it was just a great match. It was just an all in all great match. It was a solid 10 minutes, really exciting, okay, and worth going to watch, okay. NWA is on YouTube and it is free to watch. So please, please, please do so. Sorry, I was just having a sip of my drink then. But as I said, it is definitely, definitely worth watching. So we move on to what I think probably is the highlight of the week, fundamentally, in a lot of ways. I think I want to start with context though, because I think the context is important. Why I think this match is the highlight of the week. Not necessarily my match of the week, but highlight of the week, and not necessarily my wrestler of the week. So we are talking about Trinity versus King. But I want to give you a bit of context. So a few weeks back, my boy Josh and me were chatting about how the knockouts, Trinity made it very clear that the knockouts division is one of the best for storylines. Okay. And this is something that's important to me. And this is why knockouts from the knockouts division is so important to me. And TNA and Impact is so important to me. They can tell a story really, really well. And I wanted to throw back to back in the day when one of my favorite wrestlers from the knockouts, from Impact and maybe even women's wrestling in a lot of ways, made a debut. Do you remember if you watch Impact, you know Rosemary, and I think Rosemary is particularly known being in the group Decay with Crazy C, Steve, Abyss, Back to Rose. Tyre was a sort of sub member, Havoc as well, great female wrestler. And she made a debut and she came out, and there's a great story about this, that she came out and she was basically told, you got to do a promo, here's a microphone. And she came out and started with a whole sort of like Batman Riddler feel, go riddle me this. And it brought on this whole concept with Impact Wrestling being able to tell great stories. Absolutely great stories. And I think this is what Trinity was referring to with the storytelling of this promotion. It has that talent to do so. And it was quite an interesting week in pro wrestling. So, because Trinity and Mercedes, supposedly, I don't know how true this is, if it came up on my Twitter, supposedly, the Trinity and Mercedes incident happened a year ago this week. And I was like, wow, done. Time goes fast. This is so mad. It's now we've got Mercedes cracking on, fighting in New Japan Pro Wrestling, acting in Mandalorian. We have Trinity doing her thing in Impact, making a debut Impact in this particular match. And this is why wrestling is important. There is a story behind everything, and this was a great time for her to make her debut 1 year after the incident with WWE, which we don't need to go into because we're not that kind of podcast. We're here to promote women's wrestling. And the great thing about it is Trinity is going against a legit hard nut in Kylan King. And she is not a wimp. She is one half of the Coven, one half of the Impact Women's Tag Team Champions, okay, with Taylor Wilde, which I'm a massive fan of Taylor Wilde as well. So this is not going to be an easy match. Not going to be an easy match. It isn't an easy match. It wasn't an easy match for Trinity. And this is why I keep saying the knockouts are the best. So Trinity comes in, she does her thing, right? Everybody's got glow sticks, everybody's partying, everybody's raving like it's 1996 to Trinity's new tunes that are good. The crowd have got glow sticks, everybody's happy. She's in her luminous green gear with her shoes that have them sort of lights in. And it proves that Trinity, from that moment, is over in Impact already. And it was a beautiful moment. And yeah, King came in. She had the heel love, and that's okay because that's what she's supposed to be. In this particular story, she's supposed to be a heel. She is supposed to be that bitch. She is supposed to be that person that people don't want to like. And this is why this match was so good. This match was not easy. This match was hard hitting. We saw Trinity do her splits. We saw Trinity do her big kicks. We saw Kylan King slamming. We saw banging. We saw the Coven trying to cheat. We saw heel moves. And I love a good heel move. Heel moves of choking on ropes and slapping and stuff like that. And Trinity fundamentally did win this match with a star stack to win, and it was brilliant, and it was beautiful, and it was well deserved. But it was bringing into a storyline with Shaw. We've seen Shaw's little lackey wandering about in Impact, basically trying to get pictures with her and doing selfies. It was posted all over social media, and then we saw Shaw's lackey face to face her and stuff like that. And then we know at Siege, all right, we know that it's going to be an Under Siege. We know it's going to be versus Shaw. And oh yeah, son, this is going to be a fight. Janelle Shaw, okay, is a former Rev Pro champ, Progress champ. She has come over to Impact, kicking some bloody ass and being a top legit wrestler. She is what I would call the classic concept of a wrestling diva. And we love that here at Don't Call Me a Diva. We love that. We love that passion. We love how it's going to go. So Under Siege is going to be absolutely awesome. It is going to be absolutely bloody awesome. So, I mean, look, what was my match of the week? What was my match of the week? And I'm going to be dead honest with you. My match of the week wasn't particularly a match. It was two matches. And it wasn't even particularly great matches. There were matches because they told stories. They told stories. So the two squash matches Jade Cargill did, I loved them. I loved the story about them. I loved everything Smart Mark did. I loved everything about Jade Cargill, how she looks. I love how the ability she comes in and just crushes. I love how she is a powerhouse. I love how she railroads everybody and has done for 59 matches. And I love how she has now an enemy in Ty Valkyrie. Ty Valkyrie, the rare, Triple A legend, Impact legend. I believe she was or is the Major League Wrestling champ still, lightweight champ. And that was my favorite match of the week. And that was interesting because last week my favorite match was Julie Hart's match, and that match for me was about heart. Now this match was about story. Now this is the beautiful thing about pro wrestling. Sometimes you are going to love a match because of the story. Other times you're going to love the match because of the grit. Other times you're going to love the match because of the technical ability. Other times you're going to love the match because of the heart. But this week, my favorite pro wrestling matches or segment or whatever you want to call it, okay, was Jade Cargill and everything she did on Rampage. It was absolutely remarkably fun, okay, and well worth the watch. And I am so looking forward to that rivalry over the time period. But my favorite wrestler this week will go to something that's totally random, actually, fundamentally, is called Sierra, I believe her name is. And she wrestled in two big shows this week. She wrestled in NWA and she wrestled in Impact Wrestling. And I haven't mentioned the matches, okay? She wrestled against Kenzie Page. Kenzie Page, everybody will understand how much of a fan I am of her, okay, on this show. And I believe she's in the top two best future talents along with Sky Blue. But the Sierra came in and she had a absolutely incredible match against Kenzie. We talked about it earlier. But she also had an incredible match in Impact versus Jodie Threat. And this match, yeah, had a little bit of a squash feel to it. But her ability was just brilliant. And it was just fun and interesting. And I want to see more from her. I want to see more from her in Impact Wrestling. I want to see more from her, okay, in NWA. I'd like to see a Ring of Honor actually as well. But my wrestler of the week is somebody totally random. Sierra. And check her out. Free show, NWA. Go and watch it. If you've got the Impact app Plus or YouTube Impact or whatever, go and watch her. Definitely worth the watch. But she's my wrestler of my week. So my match of the week is Jade Cargill and her squashing and the storytelling and the segment. And my favourite wrestler of the week is fundamentally enhancement talent. But she was brilliant. And I want somebody to sign her desperately now. Absolutely desperately now. But yeah, that was my match of the week and my wrestler of the week. Now, me and Josh were going to enter a new segment this week. So, and the new segment was going to be highlighted wrestler. And I feel a bit like I shouldn't be doing it without him, but let's fill some time up. So the highlight of the wrestler of the week, each week we're gonna try to highlight a wrestler in history. We're gonna probably highlight a match as well, just talk about a little bit about what they did. Now, I want to talk about a wrestler that's probably put in that top 10 greats of all time, in the sense for the evolution of pro wrestling. We're going to talk about Lita. We're going to talk about Lita. Look, man, I'm not going to go majorly into history or anything like that with her. But what I am going to say about her is brief facts and probably my favourite match that she ever was in. So everybody fundamentally knows Lita of being a part of Team Extreme, working alongside Matt and Jeff, or they might know that she was the manager of Edge. But the thing that sort of interests me about her quite a lot more is she is lucha trained. She's a lucha libre wrestler trained. She appeared in Triple A. She appeared in things like CML, and you can see that in the way she does things, in the sense of her moonsaults and stuff like that. She's very much of that style, and that's where she started. That's where her grit came along, and she was known as, I'm trying to think off the top of my head because it's not in my notes, but I think it was Angelina or Angeline or something along the lines of this when she was wrestling in CMLL. And do you know why she went down that route? Because she was a massive fan, interestingly enough, of Rey Mysterio Jr., man. She was a massive fan of the Lucha Libre style of wrestling, so she went and trained and did that. Okay, and she did wrestle in CML. Okay, she also was in ECW. Interestingly enough, I don't know if anybody remembers the guy. I just remember him having a brief sort of like storyline with Nova in ECW, called Danny Doing, I think his name was, and she was actually kind of her manager, boyfriend, valet sort of thing in ECW. I believe her name was Miss Congeniality or something like that. But she had a decent little ECW run along, but fundamentally, she's known for being a 4-time WWE champion, WWF champion, whatever. Okay, she is known for all her great storylines that she did with Trish. But there's a match from WrestleMania. Oh, God, man. Do you know what? I wish I wrote this stuff down in my notes. Totally forgot it. WrestleMania 18. Okay, where it was Trish versus Lita versus Jazz. Jazz was the champion, okay, at the time. And do you know what? I'm going to say this. Jazz needs more love as a wrestler because one of the best. One of the best. End of story. One of the best. Okay, all right. And this match was totally incredible. I mean, I think it was maybe 8-9 minutes. Trish comes out all in Canadian gear. Lita comes in her standard normal gear. Jazz comes out in gold, in befitting of a champion. Okay. And basically, Trish's and Lita's idea of the whole entire match is just to team up against Jazz, okay? And then when they get Jazz down, they're going to have a scrap. And that's how it worked. But fundamentally, the match was won by Jazz, but we saw everything what they could offer at that particular time. We saw Lita's amazing, beautiful, attractive moonsault. We saw Trish's very good bulldog. And it is a good bulldog, but we saw Jazz's technical ability. And this match, for me, is Lita's greatest match because we saw 3 of the time period's best women wrestlers all in the ring, scrapping away. Okay, all right. But we saw Lita at a high standard. We saw Trish getting better, and we saw probably one of the greats, Jazz, there as well. And the funny thing about Lita's career is she actually retired in 06, didn't she? And she went and did her stuff with her rock band, but suddenly she's back on the scene in WWE, holding the tag championships with Becky recently. Being in the Royal Rumbles, she had this big match last year with quite a lot of people. I'm trying to remember matches because I'm not going to lie, as I've been honest about this before, WWE is not my sort of like number one in that sense, but she in history will go down in the top 10 because she was a part of that evolution that changed the game. She was a part of that evolution where she was going to the top rope and doing crazy stuff. She had that Team Extreme, Matt Hardy and Jeff, Lucha Libre, Rey Mysterio, Phil, that changed wrestling. And WrestleMania 18, Trish, Lita and Jazz. Okay, this is our historical highlight wrestler of the week. Guys, thank you for listening to the podcast today. Josh will be back next week. The episode will be out on Saturday afternoon, evening time period. And please watch the Twitters, okay, and the YouTubes, all right? The quiz will be extended till next week. And I will repost, retweet, reshare, re-YouTube, everything. Please like, subscribe, review, do what you have to do. And I hope you enjoyed the episode.